Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq, with daily insight on the Nasdaq-100 Index, or the NDX, which is made up of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial innovative companies listed right here on the Nasdaq stock market. The NDX has been the barometer for U.S. large cap growth and also one of the best performing indexes over the last decade and a half, not to mention one of the most liquid index ecosystems in the world. Joining us this Wednesday afternoon, we have Ryan McCormack, QQQ Equity ETF Strategist at Invesco, to discuss weekly trends in the Nasdaq-100. Ryan, welcome to Trade Talks. And you know what? It's been another volatile week for stocks, whether it's to the up or downside that we saw this week.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jill. And yeah, you kind of see this yo-yoing performance effect. But over the past week, Q's suffered, down 26 basis points relative to the broader S&P 500, which was positive 80 basis points. I think what we've been seeing is sort of, pockets of this rotation out of winners, mainly growth, into some of the more unloved value names. And in this week's first chart, I included the S&P 500 Value Index as well as the S&P 500 Growth Index. And I think that's, those two figures really tell the story. When you see the S&P 500 Value up nearly 1.8%, versus S&P 500 Growth up only 16 basis points. So very clear-cut, value-driven market over the past week, as we kind of see this gradual rotation that we've seen for pockets over the past few months.
Let's talk about sector contribution.
Yeah, so from a sector standpoint, it tells the story again, right? You have financials up near 3% for the week. Consumer discretionary positive for the S&P 500. The sector was actually negative for QQQ. You have utilities and healthcare overweights for S&P 500, positive contributors to the index. So, I think when you're looking at the dynamics of the market over the past week, right, there's been a lot of attention around additional stimulus, and really you just have to look at the FOMC comments that were released today that kind of notes continued coronavirus and a lack of stimulus as being a potential kind of detractor for growth going forward. So, pretty unanimously, FOMC members were in favor of additional stimulus. And, I think when you're looking at market action over the past week, you're looking at broad-based stimulus or, kind of contributing to a broader-based recovery. Generally, that'll favor some of those out of favor or unloved value names.
Yeah, Brian, it's pretty crazy. I mean, if you look at, as we're talking right now, 3 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays, stocks are at their session highs for the most part. I mean, you're seeing significant triple digit gains in the Dow Jones Industrial Average as an example. So it makes you scratch your head, where you have the Fed, Jay Powell comes out on Monday, and you also have the minutes that came out today. It tells a very, very different story than what we can see getting done in Washington. So with that said, let's look at the largest contributors to the SPY and Qs.
Yeah, so we're looking at the largest contributors to SPY, and these are the 17 largest, which is an arbitrary number, but only 2 of the 17 are in QQQ, and that would be Nvidia and Netflix. And as you look across the scope of the other 15 largest contributors to the index, you're certainly looking at some of these older kind of traditional blue chip type companies, right? Companies like JP Morgan, United Health, Procter & Gamble, Walmart, Home Depot, McDonald's. So, it further tells the story of this rotation for the week out of growth and into value. But, as you look over the past week, Q3 came to an end, and over the course of the quarter, QQQ outperformed the broader S&P 500 by over 3.5 percentage points. And, a lot happened in Q3 when you look back at, you have Apple hitting $2 trillion in market cap. You have Apple and Tesla stock splits. You have Moderna being added to Nasdaq-100. I mean, some of these things feel like they were 2-3 years ago, let alone, just 2-3 months ago. So, I think as we look forward to Q4, a lot in store there, and, we'll see whether or not this rotation out of these growth winners into value continues.
All right, Ryan, great stuff. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.